The man, Murphy, pushes his way through the crowded room and steps up to Reed's bench and drops his badge in front of Reed.
Ralph.
Sorry, I got it. I'm Murphy, transferring in from Metro South.
Nice precinct. We work for a living down here, Murphy. Get your armor and suit up.
Interior, precinct, locker room, moving past. Lots of loose locker doors slamming as cops of both sexes change in and out of uniform. 3 wall-mounted TVs pump out information. Starkweather, nearly naked but wearing his helmet, monitors the department comlink. Any word about Frederickson?
They're still listing him as critical.
His wife must be going out of her mind.
He moves to Murphy's locker. Murphy suits up, climbing into a standard issue padded bodysuit with 2 patches on each shoulder, DPD and OCP.
So what brings you to this little paradise?
Got me, man. OCP is moving a lot of guys around the department.
Omni Consumer Products. What a bunch of morons. They're going to manage this department right into the ground.
They cut 10 guys loose over on the east side.
Try to get backup when you're in a jam.
Try to find a medevac after you've been jammed.
Sergeant Reed and a clerk with a box enter and head towards Frederickson's locker. Everyone notices except Kaplan.
I'll tell you what. We should go on strike. Fuck them.
Kaplan shuts up as Reed shoulders past him to Frederickson's locker. He slides nameplates off and tosses it into the box. Now he opens it and the clerk begins to clean it out.
Funeral will be tomorrow. Department asks all officers not on duty to attend. Donations for his family may be given to Cecil, as usual.
Cecil, the clerk, looks up from his box and squints at all the angry cops. Reed turns to Kaplan, glaring and moving on.
And I don't want to hear any more of this strike talk. We ain't plumbers. We're police officers. And police officers don't strike. Murphy, front and center.
Murphy holsters his 9mm service automatic, slings his helmet, and slams his locker door.
And shoot.
Wow.
Which, by the way, started at 37, mind you. I don't know if anybody else.
Scene 37.
What a great, just a great scene. Great scene.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I do love that the scene ends in the movie. So they take Frederickson's tag off the locker and Murphy slams his door and you've got Murphy's thing right there. And it's like, all right, another one, another cow for the slaughter, lining up.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
In the script, there was like a whole opening scene that actually like showed you how Frederickson died or got hurt. That was interesting. Yeah.
So Brian and Marilyn, I don't know if you saw Christopher's comment, but if you have a personal take on this, how would Robocop fit in Clerks?
How would Robocop fit in Clerks? I guess if we did carry motor oil down an aisle, so he'd come in to lube up, or perhaps it'd be funny if he harassed the 2 guys that hung out front all the time.
It would be.
Listen here, you 2. Don't be slinging that devil's grass.
Could have placed the every 80s movie. Every movie seems to have the convenience store robbery scene.
Yeah.
So it would just, you replace the convenience store robbery scene with you guys at the convenience store. That would have worked out well.
Yelling at Dante to open up the safe.
Robocop was what, 7 years too early for that?
Yeah, 87. So I had just graduated high school. So
wow.
I would be like the clerk from The Simpsons. Hey, you shouldn't be able to do that, sir.
There's so many things. It's like the way that it all opened up and stuff. It was just so corny and so very typical of commercials back then.
I know.
It was the best.
Part 1. experiences.
Say that again.
Prior experiences.
Oh, good. It wasn't just me.
What,
All right.
what happened?
I don't know if there was a sound effect with that graphic, but so I saw this in the
yeah,
movies.
sure.
Yes.
But I saw it in the movies. I was 17, and me and my friends saw it, and I think we saw it a couple of times. And it was the best to this day, to this very day. My good group of friends from high school, we'll quote this movie all the time. You know, I'll buy that for $1, you know, and, you know, can I have you both? Dead or alive, you come, like it goes on and on and on. Right, exactly. So I saw it, that I must have seen this movie, and I'm not shitting you, probably 60 times. Not when it came out, but over the 30, 40 years that it's been.
Wow.
I think this is my second time maybe watching this.
Yeah, it's my second time as well, man.
Wow, I'm excited to hear the takes.
I saw it on VHS years ago. And
I don't recall how I originally saw it. And I mean, I'm not positive it's my second, but if anything, it's going to be my third. I know I haven't watched it all that often.
I'll say when I first went to college, I went to the library and I just got like a stack of DVDs. And like I just started watching all these movies that had been on my list, and Robocop was one of them. And it instantly became like, you know, I'll admit I'm going to be biased throughout this entire episode tonight. But yeah,
we just watched. We're reviewing Noah's favorite movie of all time.
it's up there. I wouldn't say it's the number one pick, but it's definitely on the Mount Rushmore for me.
Well, literally a few months ago, a massive 4 huge hour and 20-minute episode documentary came out called RoboDoc. And it is, if you hate this fucking movie to death, definitely you're going to love the doc, because the doc, especially if you're a behind the scenes movie making kind of buff, and they got everybody. They got Verhoeven, they got everybody involved to do interviews with, and Verhoeven was just hilarious and a douche, and the studios were really cool. Orion was a very up and coming independent studio that put it together, and they nearly went broke making the movie, but then they became hugely successful afterwards. But if you get a chance, I would definitely go see. I watched it on Amazon. I rented it on Amazon because before this was even picked, a friend of mine a couple of months ago was like, "Oh, have you seen the RoboDoc?" I'm like, "No." So we watched the first episode together, and like I said, they're like an hour and 20 or an hour and a half each episode.
Wow.
And then the rest I watched afterwards, and it is amazeballs.
Yeah, I'm definitely adding that to my list.
Yeah,
you had mentioned it.
Oh, you haven't seen this yet.
No, I didn't until I think the last movie club. Brian had mentioned it briefly. And I had no idea that it existed. So I went and I checked it out. I haven't watched it yet, although I did watch the one clip that I saw was Peter Weller's, or one of the crew members was talking about Peter Weller's insisting that he be fed Oreos while he was inside. Like he wanted to be referred to Robo, like he was in character.
Always.
Yeah. And the thing is, Peter Weller's denies. He's like, I don't know what this Oreo story is about. The guy's full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But I'm definitely interested for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got to see it. But like, I'm pretty sure this was my first time watching the movie uncut. Like, I've seen it plenty of times, like on TV over the years, but you know, it was always censored. So you'd hear like lines like "ladies leave" or "you're going to be a bad mother crusher." But yeah, this was my first time actually like getting to hear the lines as they were intended to be heard. There he is. Yep.
Bitches leave.
That way.
Fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, this movie's definitely filled with just like fantastic lines, fantastic quotes, and I mean the scenes. I was talking to David Wall the other day, and I was saying that this has like hands down some of my favorite exposition out of like any movie. like the way that they set everything up in the beginning, like it's very Citizens Kane. They give you the news on the march. Here's the world that you're living in. And like right off the bat, they have the what is it? The heart commercial where he's they're like, and remember, we care. Jensen, Yamaha, new heart.
Yeah, and that so did not look like a heart.
No.
Right?
No, and Jake, how old were you guys when you first saw it?
It was probably in like middle school, I want to say. So like somewhere between like 13 and 15.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it until I was at least like 17, 18.
Because I saw it when I was like 13, 14. Of course, like back then, the effects were probably like, you watch it today and you're like, these effects are a little, cheesy. but back then, they didn't seem cheesy.
Yeah.
I just remember watching it the first time and being like a little bit like, I was probably like 13 or 4 or something like that. And I was like, wow, this is like violent.
Are you specifically talking about like all like the violent scenes, or?
Yeah. I just remember. I don't remember much of I really didn't remember that much of it. I just remember thinking as a kid how violent it was.
Yeah, well, Peter Verhoeven was a big fan, especially that scene. That scene, I think, holds the records of most squibs on an actor.
Wow.
Oh, I believe it. To the point the actor was injured.
That was
really?
Oh
yeah.
I mean, it was so over the top ridiculous. It was funny.
Yeah.
Verhoeven was out. More blood.
That was like. Well, we'll get into that later because that'll be our next part 2 plot discussion. Ooh, how does everybody feel about this plot?
It's very plotty.
Big bad corporate.
Well, yeah, it's a dystopian future, not far in the distant future. I mean, when you think about it, Boston Dynamics is really making robots for police departments. The New York City Police Department have that robo dog that goes into like situations. There's already drones that cover different events. So an actual sentient being kind of, cyborg technically. Don't know if we'll get to go down that line, but actual, cybernetic, droids perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely ahead of its time. We can say that.
Edward Gamer came up with the idea of Robocop after helping out on the set of Blade Runner about cop hunting synthetic humans. And so he basically kind of just turned it around.
Right. And the one quote that I had seen that Edward had said was that, in a probably more recent interview, but he was saying the future that I envisioned in Robocop has more or less come true. In of that, like you have these big corporations that they care about you and they'll solve everything. But at the end, there's still these, massive corporations.
Well, there's that line. Hey, do you have any military hardware? Military. We're practically the military.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what was cool to me is that, like, it's the tail end of the 80s. You had all these, like, big, futuristic sci-fi movies coming out, like, like Blade Runner, Back to the Future Part 2, and they all painted this kind of like, I don't want to say optimistic vision of the future, but it basically like, they really emphasized like the technology, like, they had like all this faith in like human potential, and like Robocop is like kind of like a reaction to that in a way, or a refutation of that. It's like, no, the world sucks. Things are really bleak. This is what it's going to be like. It's not going to be like, flying cars and like, instant meals in the microwave or whatever it is. Like, it's just, it's a disaster.
Well, around the time as well, Terminator was shooting, and Lance Henriksen was actually thought about to play Murphy, but because he was trying out for Terminator and was actually the role of Terminator, which went to Schwarzenegger. But it's like, it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, here you are with the whole future and robots and they're taking over the world. And kind of here we are, with the AI and all that kind of stuff. It's like, how long do we give it, from now?
Yeah.
I mean, with George Orwell with 1984, it's not far off from what could be happening and everything else. So the dystopian world that they paint, it's not far off from what we're seeing today.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of do we get the Ed 209 or not? You have 20 seconds to comply.
Yeah.
You better do what he says.
I didn't know until recently that was Phil Tippett who did those animations.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, and I think honestly, I know we're jumping the gun with special effects, but that's like one of my favorite aspects about the movie. It's just like the stop motion. And like the other thing too is like I haven't watched that Robocop documentary yet. I still haven't watched, there's a Phil Tippett documentary, because the guy's had like an absolutely incredible career, Jurassic Park, Star Wars, he's done so many science fiction and fantasy movies, and he's done this newer stop motion called Mad God too that I also really want to see.
I saw that earlier this year.
Good.
I mean, I didn't really know what to make of it because it's not like there's like virtually no dialogue at all. I mean, as far as like the visuals are concerned, it's it's definitely entertaining, but I mean, it's like I didn't like it, but I also didn't dislike it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel about half the movies we review.
Hey, Marilyn, what did you think of the fact that one of the main co-stars of this movie, Alan, she plays this takes no kind of prisoners kind of cop, and is fighting in this kind of man's world at the time, especially in the 80s. That was kind of a cool point, especially in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty good for her because I was reading that she hadn't really done very much. And I forget who she was married to, and that she got a divorce, and then all of a sudden she's not able to work. And then this was kind of like her comeback thing. And reading how the director just kept saying, cut your hair, because we don't want to sexualize you in any way. It's like, this is just two people working together. And it's like, I kind of like the fact that the director wanted to keep this very that it's not a romance. It's two cops working together, and it's like there is no sexualization of in any way whatsoever. So I kind of like that.
And if you guys remember from Starship Troopers too, he, very similar to the locker room scene that we were talking about earlier. They have a same thing in Starship Troopers where it's just like, who cares? You've got both sexes in the same bathroom, same changing room, and nobody's batting an eye. It's business as usual, which I think is just, and they don't even draw attention to it, which I just think is so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the actress? What's her name again?
Nancy Allen.
Nancy Allen.
I feel like I've seen her in a million things, and I can't.
Oh, you have.
She was in Carrie.
Carrie.
Yeah.
Actually, quite a few of the actors there, it's like we all know them, was actually something opposite of what they actually played in this movie.
Oh, really? Look at that. Characters.
Bam. Perfect segue.
I liked her. She was good in it. She actually, she was one of the more likable characters in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess she was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Supposed to be rooting for her, I guess.
Yeah.
But they didn't make her like a cliche, like badass. Like she didn't come off like as a badass either. She kind of came off like regular.
I mean, the way they introduced her, like I think her first scene, what was she doing? She was like, bringing in a perp and like putting him in a Pap Nelson or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they did kind of set her up as kind of a badass, I think.
Yeah.
I felt like
I guess maybe she was badass.
Well,
I guess she didn't seem like a badass in it. You know what I mean?
Well, in real life, she had family members who were real cops. So she knew that lifestyle.
Right.
I feel like a lot of the characters, though, or a lot of the actors were acting way too much.
Hmm.
And just trying to really be so badass and making those characters be so badass that it was like very off-putting for me.
I didn't know if that was done like almost on purpose. Like it was like this, like it just felt like it was. That's what I was having a tough time with. I don't know. Like, are we doing this over the top for effect? Like with the violence, with the
Well, if you look at the movie in its entirety and you see the commercials that they show, the TV shows that are popular, the way that society is running through the Tippett SUX commercial with the dinosaur, you can see that it was a lot of tongue-in-cheek kind of thing going on here. This satirical look at a ridiculous but not so ridiculous society that may happen. As a matter of fact, they didn't add that commercial till the very end. Like producers wanted to really not put that in, and you'll find out if you watch the documentary how they at the last second were like, no, we have to have this. It's amazing.
Well, the fact that sorry, keep going.
No. I was just supposed to say though. So getting back to, was it kind of overacting? I know that Peter Weller was really he studied with this master movement dance coordinator to get the robo movements done. It's true. Anytime he was in the robo costume, he had to be called Robo. He wouldn't answer if you said Peter. And that kind of, I don't know, kind of like take it super seriously will make it kind of silly kind of vibe, can backfire looking at it from this far away from it. But in the 80s at that time, when you have Schwarzenegger movies and Stallone movies and Steven Seagal movies where crazy fucking shit would happen, and then the one-liner, I'll be back, or, what happened to Salah? I had to let him go. That was the vibe back then. So now looking at it today, be like, that's a little cheesy, is kind of a tough thing to do.
But here's the thing. Honestly, the only people who didn't do that for me was Peter Weller, Nancy Allen, and I forget who else, but it was only there was only like a few of them.
Yeah, he wasn't over the top. I mean, he was in the Robo costume 90% of the time.
Yeah, it was more a lot of the supporting people more than anything that was just like, oh my God, it's like you don't have to act tough to be tough, just be tough.
Mm-hmm. The actors who play the gang, the villain group, right?
Cops too.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out their gimmick. Like the Asian dude's gimmick was he could pump a shotgun with one hand. That was the first time that's ever been done on film. The other guy had the laugh. Everything was ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And then of course,
the 80s villains, they're all like over the top. I feel like.
Absolutely. And once again, it's the same thing where, the Ray Wise character was always dapper and in black, no matter what, kind of gave that Italian mobster kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So they all had to find what made them stand out and memorable for that matter. Just like what's his name? Ronnie Cox as Dick Jones was just brilliant. I mean, he was brilliant when he was in Total Recall. This is pretty much the same character here that he was in Total Recall.
Yeah. I think the director kind of liked him for that because the director also did Total Recall.
Mm-hmm.
Marilyn, what did you think of Red Foreman, Clarence?
Oh, wait, you're talking about Kurt? Yeah, him.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I only know him as Red Foreman and Clarence.
Right. Yeah, because it's from the 70s shows, and so that's one of the things that I was saying is like, all right, this is so not the character that he is on that everybody knows him for, from that 70s show. I felt like at times he was over the top as well, and then sometimes he kind of like felt like he was in being real.
Hmm.
But definitely not likable.
Mhm.
He does a good job of making you hate him for sure.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorite little things that he does, like that made me like definitely hate him, is he spits his gum out and he puts it on the secretary's name tag.
Yeah.
That's his real wife.
Ooh, wow.
He
That's
got her.
great.
He got her that gig. So the flirtation thing was kind of like a purposeful kind of thing. The gum was improv that you put up just before. Ooh, guns, guns, guns. That was improv. A lot
The
of
Tigers
really
play tonight.
right. And I got box seats.
I mean,
He was awesome.
the fact that it's like that character all of a sudden is just able to walk in, not a care in the world. It's like I can't get put in prison for anything because it's like this guy has my back. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I work for Dick Jones.
Yeah.
One other little character thing that I like, and I'm pretty sure that like when Dick Jones gets out of the bathroom, he doesn't wash his hands, and then he grabs what's his face's hair.
I found this to be so dang creepy
Mm.
and weird versus menacing, to be honest, because the way he goes to like stroke his hair as if he's like, trying to seduce somebody. I'll be like, oh please.
Yeah.
That's just
So the backstory of that scene, and I'm referring to this doc, was Ferrer when they rehearsed, and Ronnie Cox was like, "Oh, I think I'm going to grab you by the." He said, "Just don't touch the hair. Like, if you want to grab my shoulder, that's cool, but don't." So the fact that he told him what as an actor, "Oh, don't touch my hair," he was like, "Okay." Now we knew what kind of pissed him off, and that's what he wanted to do.
Right.
So that reaction of him, like, "Hey," was the actor's real reaction, which was great. It was good on film. So
right.
I cannot stress enough, even though, like I said, even if you hate the fucking movie, watch the doc. It's worth it, especially learning about how a movie like this, shooting as long as it did in the heat of Dallas and Pennsylvania for the big factory scene, can drive people nuts, and yet put together a really great movie.
Yeah, it was a 94-day shoot. It's like, wow.
Yeah. And sometimes the heat in Dallas got up to 103.
That's nothing.
Yeah. Right.
110 in Austin all summer. Interesting.
One thing, and then talking about, and I guess this kind of moves into our scenes segment. But when you were mentioning earlier, Brian, yes, I do like that guy too. When you were mentioning the 6000 SUX, I'm glad that they included the commercial, which, by the way, it only gets 8.2 miles per gallon.
Wow.
and they advertise it as an American tradition. But then it just keeps popping up. Everybody, the guy's like, I want a good car, or I want a car with get shitty mileage. And like everybody's got the 6000 SUX, So the fact that they didn't want to include the commercial, I feel like that almost a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the SWAT guy in this movie is the same SWAT guy in Die Hard. Like, he plays cops a lot. That actor, very, very, very funny. So,
did anybody have a particular favorite scene, since we're talking about scenes, or least favorite scene?
Favorite scene is probably the toxic waste.
It's everybody's favorite scene.
Don't touch me, man.
This is like, it's definitely campy, right? Like, this meant to be campy, I think.
There's one thing one of my professors at school always told me was that, films are, a perfect time capsule, and the right film, you can see everybody's hopes and fears and what's going on in society. So you got, fear of, Cold War, nuclear annihilation, toxic waste, consumerism. Like, it's just so, I don't know. It all works.
It's as far as least favorite scenes, there were a few for me. I gotta say, as much as you guys love the dinosaur, I hated that dinosaur. But the favorite scene was when.
I agree.
The favorite scene though is when Dick all of a sudden takes the executive, the CEO, hostage, if you will, and
Right.
he's like, "You're fired," and Murphy's like, "Thank you," and the other executive is like smiling.
Oh, yeah, Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say the scene I cringe the most. Yeah. The scene I cringe the most is when following literally that exact scene. Once he gets shot, is that absolutely Slender Man fucking
Yeah.
like all of a sudden his arms are longer, and that's because they said the guy who put it together was literally did it overnight, and they didn't quite finish making the mannequin that they used. But yeah, he literally could stretch.
I
He
didn't
could
even realize.
scratch his toes with those arms.
Holy
So
shit.
one thing that I think is really interesting is Die Hard comes out a year later in 1988, and the villain has a very similar, execution. He falls from the thing, but you compare the two of them, and it's like, what, I don't know if they talk about it in the documentary, Brian, but like, what was the decision?
Well, the distinction is the technique. In Alan Rickman actually was in what's called the Hitchcock fall machine, where it's like a 2-story thing. An actor is strapped in, the camera's at the top of the 2 stories, and it's like a ride. The actor then slides down this rail on a seat and just waves his arms. And then, because it's a green screen, you could put whatever it is at the bottom. So Alan Rickman was physically there to do that. This was stop motion.
Yeah, this looked bad.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman looked good. My favorite scene is still the scene where what's the big robot called?
Ed 209.
Yeah, that's my favorite scene right there. I started just laughing because it was like, I mean, you knew it was coming. It was very telegraphed. It was like obvious, and it's bad. It's so bad because it's like the way they do the effect with that robot really takes me out of it because it's so cheesy.
By the way, the that smooth head part type of thing is actually the side of a microphone.
Oh, that's cool.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense.
One thing I like about that scene is after just for an incredibly too long amount of time, the guy just completely destroyed and torn to pieces. One of the guys in the boardroom is like, "Oh, someone get a goddamn paramedic!"
Oh, paramedic!
Don't nobody touch him. Like, what? He's been completely shredded.
So and they're having like normal conversation in the room with the guy.
He's like, "Dick, I'm very disappointed in you."
Yeah.
By the way, the actor who had the easiest day on set had to be this guy. What's your line? Say it again. Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me. Like literally, that's all he had to say. And the scene actually went longer, but they cut it short. It was
There's a convenience store scene, guys.
Yeah. There it is. For the old folks.
That they weren't really like, he would just show up whenever crime was happening. Like he would just know. He had a nose for, I'm gonna walk this convenience store and there's gonna be a crime happening. I'm gonna be walking down the alley. There's gonna be the old woman almost getting raped.
Yeah.
By 2 random gang members.
He's got cybernetic hearing, bro.
He shoot you through the dress to hit this guy in the dick.
The actress didn't know that was going to happen, like the squib in the guy's crotch. So when it blew up in his crotch, and the actress is having that "oh shit" reaction.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that on this set, like where people didn't realize what was going to happen. The explosions when they get out of prison and they got the new guns and they start blowing storefronts up left and right. They were warning neighbors like, oh, please stay away from your windows. This is going to be a big blast. Yet the actors in the movie were literally like just 2 car lengths away from this gigantic explosion.
Yeah.
I feel like those guns that big kind of probably had a pretty big recoil, and there was like no reaction of them having to, like kick back. Like,
Right.
come on.
What's the future? Maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what happens in the future. No recall.
Flashbacks that Robocop has, starting to remember who his and his family was.
That's an incredible sequence.
That's one of my favorite scenes, actually, when you see him like just like going through his old house and like all the memories come flooding back. Like I like seeing like from his point of view, like right as he's about to take the picture with his wife and son too. That was good.
What they say happened to his family?
She just moved away and started over.
Yeah.
That's that one actually. Yeah, is probably my like very favorite scene in the movie. Like I think the line that sticks with me the most out of all of them is like, like I can feel them, but I can't remember them. Like even though he's like a cyborg now, you can still like hear the pain in his voice. Like, like his humanity is like coming back. And I love that.
Yeah.
You're doing pretty well for getting shot in the head.
Yeah.
For getting shot in the head, for getting a shotgun, to the arm.
Yes. Getting his other arm removed purposefully.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that they chose to get rid of it.
I know.
They got a rated X when it first went to the MPAA.
Yeah.
Because of the violence. And particularly his murder got super gruesome that they had to switch a few shots.
They heavily edited that scene as well as the scene with the executive being shot, so they avoid the.
Like this. Speaking of special effects, since we're talking about that now, the hand blowing off was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was still pretty cool.
As well as the whole arm.
The arm,
yeah.
There's like so many intros like dangling there.
I don't know why it's funny, but this scene, his face there is just, he's like, oh, this isn't good. Does it hurt?
The view from behind him is actually an animatronic.
Oh.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
When they're shooting him, there's an angle from behind where you're looking at the gang and him. It's an actual animatronic. That where you see him struggling, that's an animatronic.
Gotcha.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
So the special effects to me was until Dick Jones goes through that window, everything was for 87 was spectacular.
The big robot guy, and what is it?
The Ted 209.
209.
That was that kept taking me out of it because it was like so like clearly not.
It's obviously not real. Yeah, not Tippett's best work.
But again, when I remember seeing it the first time, that didn't bother me at all. So who knew?
Yeah.
When you're in 1987, it was probably cool as shit.
Right.
But when you're in 2023, it's cool.
But again, just the concept of it, though, like you have this massive, like the government's already bought all of these, guaranteed government contract. They can't even go down a flight of stairs, and they squeal.
I love the sound that it makes after it falls over.
That's one thing I did not like, because it's like, wait a minute, you're taking this robot and you're giving him these sound effects that sound too natural, out of the wild kind of a thing. It's like, no, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Like they gave him like he's alive.
Here's a disturbing fact. The noise that the robot makes are pigs being slaughtered. Pigs. The answer was pigs being slaughtered. Pigs being slaughtered. I'm sorry. You did not get that answer. Moving on.
I did see that. There was another sound that they added as well. I can't remember, but yeah.
It was like a cat, like a lion or a puma or something.
Jaguar.
Yeah.
I think it was Jaguar.
Oh yeah.
But I was like, what the hell is that sound coming out of the robot? That doesn't make any sense.
I still never understood why they gave him a mouth. You know?
Who a mouth?
Robocop.
Oh, that's his.
No, remember the guy's like tastes just like baby food. He still had to eat
to sustain his organic system.
Brain. Yeah,
like,
he still had organic.
But I did see a scene where he's getting shot at by all the cops at the end in the parking garage, and he is covering his mouth with his arm, so he's conscious enough to know he can get shot in the face pretty easily.
But also, that was his stunt double, not him, who literally did those falls in that suit and really fucked his shoulder up bad doing that. Once again, see the doc. The doc is.
We got to see the doc.
Gotta see the doc.
Would we add any features to RoboCop to make him a better cop? Any that I would add a lot more features in 2023.
Well, they did for RoboCop 2, and then RoboCop 3. He was practically the Mandalorian with a jetpack.
I didn't see those. Is the remake any good?
No one did.
The remake.
I did.
Was the remake good?
I saw that in theaters, and it was good. It was all right. RoboCop didn't drive a car; he rode a motorcycle instead.
And it wasn't Peter Weller in the third one. He was in the second one, but not the third.
I didn't even know they made it.
No, but the remake. He was talking about the remake.
The remake. There was a remake in 2014 that
right.
It sold one ticket, and it was to Brian.
Correct.
It had a pretty good cast, though. I mean,
Well, I know Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
Police lights on his shoulder would be a good. I would enjoy that.
Well, I mean, if you get too much into it, now you've just turned him into Iron Man.
There you go.
True.
So, you could do the rockets off the shoulders. You could do the power beam out of his hand.
Yeah.
He was very clunky, in my opinion. He was.
Well, and that was one of the things, because he had practiced how he was going to be doing his walk without the suit, and it's like the same day that he got the suit. It was an 11-hour process of getting him into the suit, and then he realized he doesn't have the movement that he thought he was going to have, and they gave him an additional 3 days of time to reworking how they were going to be moving with the suit on.
Yep.
What I thought was funny is like apparently he couldn't get into the car in the full suit, so he'd have like the top part, and then he'd just be in his boxers or something. Like
right.
So clunky, and then like you knew, like it's so obvious he can barely move in it, and he can't run at all. You never see any. The action is very like static because he can't really do much.
Yeah.
So like it's not like Iron Man, where obviously watch Iron Man is awesome, but
well, I mean,
30 years later, but
even in all fairness, I mean, even cops today don't really run and chase you down; they just shoot you.
Yes, they do.
Not all of them, Brian.
That suit was $500,000 to $1 million, and when you think about it, back then, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Inflation.
So,
and it didn't even have internet. The fuck?
Didn't have it. It was not connected to Wi-Fi. That was the biggest mistake.
It was just as effective as the Javits Center. Yeah.
Now that $500,000 to $1 million, because they did have 7 suits, and they were all used. So I don't know if that was a combined amount for all 7, or if one.
I think so. No, I think so. I think there was a combined to it. It's they were constantly having to repair the suits all the time. The paint would get scraped up, or things would snap off. They'd add things. Sometimes you'll see things not quite added to the suit. But they had a whole suit team, like 7 people that would work on the suit.
He
And
has
I
his
think
own
it would
pit
take him. Sorry?
crew. No, I said he had his own pit crew.
Yep. And he gave them all nicknames and everything. So, yeah, they were the Robo team. And it was quite an elaborate getting in and out of that suit kind of thing.
Javis Wi-Fi was bad this year.
It was.
Why, guys? If you were at New York Comic Con, you would know. Okay, listen. I think we said it all. Should we go to the Zenescope charts, guys?
I think so.
Unless anybody has anything else they want to say before we get
I
to
did get to meet Peter. Peter,
nice.
I got
Oh,
to meet
wow.
him. That was in Detroit, no less, in 2011.
Oh,
He was my next door neighbor. He was the booth next to me, and we got to talking about a bunch of stuff. Genuinely nice guy, and really cool information. So it was great to meet him.
Cool going. When you're at a Comic Con, it's always fun to like meet celebrities you haven't seen in a while and stuff.
Right.
Brian, when you met him, was he still acting at that time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was about to. I think he was about to work on that Star Trek movie.
Into Darkness. That's right.
Yeah. Well, not in 2011, but I think it was in the process of being talked about.
Right. I mean, is he retired?
I don't think so.
I mean, because he's voicing RoboCop in the video game that's out next month. So
Right.
yeah, and
Wow, he's like 80 now, I think, or close to 80.
mid-70s. Oh no, he was in an episode of the best episode actually of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities last year.
Oh,
Yeah, it was the episode that was directed by what's his name, Panos Cosmatos, who did Mandy, and yeah, it was the best episode of the whole series.
Look at that.
Yeah, I don't see him being retired.
Okay.
I remember like a couple years ago, wasn't like Neil Blomkamp developing like a proper like a sequel, another sequel to RoboCop, where he was supposed to come back and like the original writers, they were going to write it.
No idea.
I did see. I did
that'd be
see on
awesome if it-
IMDb. Yeah, I did see on IMDb that it was like in 2018. It was something announced called like RoboCop Returns.
That's it. Yeah.
But I don't know if that was something that like, productions just shut down, pandemic, put it in the grave,
Maybe.
whatever. But I haven't heard anything.
He's 76, and yeah, he did 4 episodes of Rabbit Hole, and then like you said, the Cabinet of Curiosities.
It just got canceled.
Yeah, it did. They did cancel.
There's also on MacGyver and a bunch of other things. So.
He was in season 5, I think it was, of Dexter, or was it season 4? Season 4 or 5, one of the two.
Mm.
That makes sense. I do remember that. Okay. Zenescope chart. Now corrected to Zenescope.
So look at speed, just for reference. That's and everything else is above a 3. Speed could not break 2.5.
Really poorly. Jesus.
Well, Krystle's 0.5 did not help at all in the average.
Krystle really screwed Speed. That's fine. She really screwed Speed. Not cool.
So Fight Club's still number 1 in terms of. Actually, I don't know. When I was looking at
I know Krystle didn't send a score for I don't think she watched RoboCop. It was her way of getting out of RoboCop. I wonder what her score would have been. What's this?
I'd like to hear your thoughts.
So yeah, that is everybody's individual scoring.
I'm pretty high this year. Look at me. Damn. I'm the highest?
I guess. I mean, you're giving pretty positive reviews.
Wow.
You did pick the list of movies, right?
I mean, I did last year too, but I had the lowest score last year. Interesting.
I have the lowest score this year.
Man, that 0.5 really sticks out. You just see a little teeny tiny pinky finger.
Okay. So let's quickly go through everybody's score, and then we'll wrap things up. We'll show.
I'll do it real quick. 5 all day, every day, 24/7, 365. 5.
Well, you
I
watch.
can make it 10. I'd make it 10.
What are we doing, guys?
Done. This is the best example of the dystopian Verhoeven film ever.
I don't know what we're doing anymore.
I'm gonna jump in with
Me
my
too in the
review.
parking lot. You disagree. No, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna back that up with a back-to-back 5
Oh
for
my
me
God.
as well.
Boom, that's my boy. That's my
No.
boy.
No surprise there, but it definitely it's I love it. Great
It's a movie.
exposition.
This is the movie they teach in film school, bitches.
Yeah, it's a great script. I've gushed enough about it, but
2,
5.
5.
I guarantee you give the documentary a 5. That's for fucking
Oh
sure.
yeah.
What do you got, Jake?
All right, so yeah, I love it, man. Satirical elements hit all the right notes. A good quintessential '80s comfort movie. If it's on TV, I'll always watch it all the way through. Not quite a 5. I think I'm going to give it a 4.25, and I hope you'll forgive me for that 0.75 difference.
All right.
I'll allow it.
Thank you.
Marilyn?
Sorry, guys.
Uh-oh.
Like, I mean, I don't know if part of it is because I'm tired, but there were quite a few times I had to shake myself out of dozing off. And then I did doze off. But I was thinking I was going to like this a lot better than I did. And I couldn't remember a lot of it either. But I just the acting, the corniness was just way too over the top for me. And I think I'm going to be generous at a 1.
Wow.
1.
I felt that dropped on me.
1 Robo out of 5. I'm gonna give it. I won't go. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you do. You know you want to give it a 1 as well.
No, it's not a 1. That's insane. Marilyn's trying to go at me and giving it a 1. You did. You went full Krystle. I just couldn't get into it watching. I don't know. So 80s. That's my dog. My dog gave it 3. Apparently.
There you go.
Buffy or
Buffy
the other
says
one?
goes.
Buffy gave it a 3. Barks. I'm gonna say 2.5. Very average. Felt very average to me. I didn't. Well, if I grew up watching it over and over, like Brian, maybe I would have really loved it. I didn't really love it. I remember when I was a kid, when I saw it, probably too young, and then I just at this time it was like I was kind of like, It's so dated.
Very.
It was hard for me. I'm sorry. I give it 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't.
It's so disappointing.
Which is why I gave it that.
Sorry. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm confused. I'm looking at you like him right now. Like, really?
I feel like I'm in the same generation as Brian too, so we should be on this. We're usually on the same wavelength, and this movie just didn't. I just couldn't do it. I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't matter because I give this next part a 5. You guys ready for the reveal of these?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we had the single cover up. Doesn't matter. Bam.
Bam.
Wow.
Yeah, I buy that for $1. Nice son.
I do. I mean, I love this cover. Actually, it's one of my favorites she's done this year.
It's good. Zenescope has its own police department now.
Right, that's what I love. So three things that I love about this cover. 1, the Zenescope police. 2, the way that she's incorporated the emblem into the helmet. And 3, the Z-rated version like she's gone the extra mile of, the character, that's our Black Knight character. She's actually holding like the helmet down by the side. So
Nice.
like, I don't know, just that little extra, detail is great.
This cover is awesome.
Son, you're amazing.
Wait. Next month's cover might beat it because I've seen next month's cover already, and it's awesome. But it's close. This one is one of my favorites. I dropped the links in there so you guys can grab it. Next month's layouts. We already know the movie.
Yeah.
Do we?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I do. I just looked it up.
See if you can guess what it is.
That's what it is.
Is that Mad Max?
Yeah.
Ooh, Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay, now make sure everybody gets enough sleep that they don't fall asleep while watching it.
There's no way. If you can,
this person.
you would have had to have been drinking NyQuil to fall asleep during Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah,
because that's
it's the movie
And if
equivalent of
not,
Speedballs.
Not, you can learn to give yourself a transfusion while watching the movie.
I have
Does anybody have any
circumstances to that effect, but
Does anybody have anything to plug? Brian, Marilyn, do you guys have anything to plug?
yes, next weekend you're gonna come and see us and several of our View Askew members in Twisted Cons in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
Minnesota.
I want to go.
We also have the Mallrats crew as well. Jason Lee,
Hey.
Nice.
Jeremy London as well. We also have the Clerks Pops. Clerks 3 Pops are coming out soon.
Hey.
They finally have made a pop.
Brian, you have a pop, dude.
Finally, I no longer have to bastardize Doctor Strange ones anymore. And then if you feel like doing it in February, there is the Cruise Askew from Miami to the Bahamas, 4 days, a whole bunch of things. We just brought on Soul Asylum as one of the 7 bands that they're bringing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh.
Go to cruiseskew.com
Who
for
are the other 6?
Go see Brian and Marilyn at Twin City Comic Con next weekend. Next week.
Yeah.
Yes.
We will be at no Comic Cons coming up, Harvey, but we have a Kickstarter running right now. If you guys haven't yet seen it, the Wonderland Kickstarter, check it out. I'll drop the link if I can find it really quick.
I got it.
We are fully funded. All right, Jake will drop the link. We are fully funded, so jump on and get your Wonderland trading cards. And we are also officially doing our VIP event in 2024 in Las Vegas. Again, Buffy's very happy about that. If you heard,
What time of the year?
March 9th, the weekend of March 9th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tickets will go on sale soon.
What space?
What's that?
What space are you holding it in?
It will be at the Paris Hotel.
Ooh, very nice.
The new Versailles Tower. They just opened, I think, or just opening this December. So come.
You couldn't book the Sphere?
VIP event. We will drop all the information in the next couple of weeks, but I will drop that Sun will be with us in Vegas.
Now it's not always in Vegas, is it? Because this one was
not always in Vegas. It's
okay.
It's Philly. Always once a year in Philly, and then once a year in another location. We did do it in Vegas 2 years ago. We did it in New Orleans last year. We're back in Vegas for 2024. So,
Ocean's 12.
Ocean's 12.
Nice.
Actually, that wasn't in Vegas. Never mind.
24. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. I have to run. But love.
We missed you, Krystle.
We will see you. We miss
Yeah,
Krystle.
good luck with. I think she's doing Lego Masters, right?
She's doing some Lego Master stuff these days. Next month, Mad Max Fury Road. I think it's November 30th. So we won't see you guys for about 5-ish weeks, I guess. But we'll see you soon.